Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to This Week in Magic Online Finance. I'm your host, Chaz Andres, and as always, we're going to get started this week with the news. The big story, of course, are the changes that are coming to Magic Online in 2019. And for once, all the changes seem pretty awesome. I mean, you're going to be able to do so much more with your Eternal collection next year, including even qualifying for the Pro Tour in some of your favorite Eternal formats. That seems pretty cool, right? Let's break it all down. So here's the deal. There are going to be format-focused events in 4 particular Eternal formats: Pauper, Vintage, Legacy, and Modern. And you're going to be able to collect format points by playing competitive leagues as well as format-focused events, and then you're going to use those points to qualify for the format playoffs. Format playoffs are going to be held every 3 months, and you're going to need 35 points in that particular format before you can qualify. So for example, if you want to qualify in Pauper, you're going to need 35 specifically Pauper points in order to qualify for the Pauper playoffs. If you got 10 points in Legacy, well, you can't use those toward Pauper. You're going to need to get 35 Legacy points as well. So if you make it to the playoffs, your goal is to qualify for the Format Championships, which is going to be a 32-person tournament with a cut to top 8 with tons of cool prizes. Win that one, and you're headed to the Pro Tour. So yeah, it's not going to be easy to qualify for the Pro Tour that way, but it's not easy to qualify for the Pro Tour anyway. And the truth of the matter is that there will be people on the Pro Tour next year who got there solely by playing games of Vintage and Pauper on Magic Online, and that is incredibly cool. And financially, this is a bit of a game changer. I mean, even with Arena continuing to gain popularity, this shows that Wizards of the Coast, at least for now, is committed to keeping MTGO their home for Eternal Magic. And also, this is going to revitalize the market for Vintage and Pauper staples that have been stagnant for months. These cards are going to go up because people are going to be playing much more Vintage and Pauper. So far, Black Lotus has been the biggest winner of this announcement, gaining about 10 tickets this week and jumping from 20 up to 30. The Moxen also did pretty well. They've each gained at least 2 or 3 tickets this week. Looking at Pauper, you've got staples like Standard Bearer and Pyroblast and Hydroblast, and they've all gained at least a ticket this week, so these cards are on the way up. So yeah, it certainly helped that Saffron Olive, one of the biggest market movers in the Magic community, tweeted last week about how these cards are a good buy, and they kind of shot up due to that. But it's not like Saffron Olive was wrong. He wasn't making things up. He was just reacting to the same story that I am. And if you're looking for a sneak this week, these cards are all a good bet to continue gaining value well into the first part of 2019. In fact, it's possible that this week's gains might end up being a little bit of a blip on the radar, and we're not going to see a lot more movement until the start of 2019, because they're not going to release these format points until Ravnica Allegiance hits MTGO. So if you want to build up your Vintage and Pauper collections, you still have time. In fact, even with these latest spikes, most of the Moxen are still under 10 tickets each, so you don't have a heck of a lot to lose here. Let's move on now to gaining ground, where our biggest gainer in Standard was Doom Whisperer. Wait, how did one of the most disappointing cards from Pro Tour Guilds of Ravnica end up gaining 5 tickets this week? It jumped from 9 all the way up to 14. So if you remember my Pro Tour breakdown from last week, you probably remember that Boros Aggro is a beatable deck. Even though it put 6 copies into the top 8, it is not dominant in the way that Mono Red was over the summer, and you can definitely still sort of play what you want in Standard. It is a wide open format. And one of those decks doing well this week is, again, the Golgari mid-range deck with Doom Whisperer in it. Doom Whisperer actually is a pretty good answer to some of the format's current threats, so the card is on the rise yet again. Is it going to be shattering ceilings and busting past the 20 ticket mark? Well, I doubt it. Because the format is so wide open, it's unlikely that any card is going to dominate for long. But stability near the 15 ticket mark? I feel like that is more likely than not. Meanwhile, over in Modern, the card that gained the most ground this week was Mox Opal. Gained about 3 tickets, going from 38 up to 41, and that's not really because of the success of any particular Modern deck, it's just because Mox Opal is one of the major Modern staples that isn't in Ultimate Masters. And that means it's probably going to recover most of the value it lost during the great Modern sell-off of fall 2018. This card was 60 tickets back in September, bottomed out around 30, now it's back up over 40. Can it hit 50 again? Absolutely at some point. Let's move on to our biggest loser, where in Standard it was Rekindling Phoenix dropping 10 full tickets from 33 all the way down to 23. The reason for this is that most of the Rekindling Phoenix decks have lost metagame share this week. Mono red aggro is kind of losing ground to Boros aggro, Boros Angel's not doing as well, Jeskai Control not doing as well, so there's been less demand for the Phoenix. But don't forget how cyclical this format is. Even though the price chart for the Phoenix is continuing to point down, and I expect more losses over the short term, this is a very good card. And with the way the standard market has been moving, I don't see any reason why this Flappy Bird won't be flying back up toward that 30 ticket mark again at some point while it is still legal in standard. Let's move on now to Modern, where our biggest loser of the week was Tarmogoyf yet again, dropping another 2 tickets from 15 down to 13. Alright, so first off, it's kind of heartening to see that the biggest Modern loser of the week was only a 2-ticket drop, and that shows me that the days of the biggest Modern sell-off are probably behind us. Second, it appears that Tarmogoyf hit kind of a pretty solid floor at that 13 ticket mark. It cratered there a couple of days ago, it's been scraping along the bottom ever since. So, if you've been holding off on buying Tarmogoyf, even with that Ultimate Masters reprint on the horizon, I don't think it goes much lower than this. You can feel free to finish that playset now. As always, let's end the week by taking a look at the MTGOTraders sales data over the past 7 days. And this gives us a great idea of which cards are selling the best right now, regardless of increases or decreases in value. Looking at overall sales by volume, it's nice to see the multi-format staples creeping back up near the top of this list. The Ravnica Shocklands continue to sell really well, especially Sacred Foundry and Steam Vents, but cards like Path to Exile and Fatal Push are also doing really well again. Also selling really well this week was Assassin's Trophy, which appears to have finally bottomed out at 3.5 tickets. Now, despite this card not fully living up to its hype, this is definitely a spell that I expect to end up back above the 10 ticket mark at some point. So 3.5 tickets, that is a really good buy-in. If you haven't had a chance to pick up a set or 2 of these yet, I would absolutely do so now. Moving on to overall sales by price, it's a nice smattering of both standard and modern this week. You've still got Teferi and Arclight Phoenix, the number 1 and 2 on this list, but on the other hand, you've got Surgical Extraction, Scalding Tarn, even Liliana of the Veil doing really, really well. So based on this, I can safely say the worst of the modern losses appear behind us at this point. And that's all I got for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I am Chaz Andres, and I will see you next Monday morning for another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance.
Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome MTG content just like this. And make sure to tap the bell icon to be notified whenever a video is made live. If you want to keep watching content, here are 2 more videos for you. This video and many others are sponsored by MTGOTraders and Cape Fear Games. Buy and sell digital singles to build your online collection today with MTGOTraders, and get your paper singles, accessories, and much more from Cape Fear Games. Whatever your Magic needs, both places have you covered.